Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mayfield and Friends. This is episode number 32. Today I'm with Hannibal, most known for his Supreme One-Chunk Iron Man in Seers Village, if the original One-Chunk rules were not wild enough. Why don't you go to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your account/accounts you play.
Sure, I'm Hannibal. I've got 2 accounts currently that I'm actively playing. The first one is SeerSupreme, which is the chunk-locked account in Seers Village. And then I've got a Group Iron Man account called Goonsam, which I started pretty much when the Group Iron Man thing came out a few years ago with a group of 4 other friends. And on that one, I'm kind of doing this road to 100% series where I'm trying to 100% old school RuneScape, but not in the kind of standard way of getting all the collection log stuff and maxing levels and things, but kind of doing it that kind of original Xbox kind of way. I don't know if you remember original Xbox where you didn't have achievements or trophies or anything like that. So 100% of the game was literally you just did everything you could think of to achieve it.
Kind of like if you're into speedrunning at all, how they do like 100% in like the old Zelda games and stuff, or like 120 stars in Super Mario 64, stuff like that.
Exactly. But the thing that I always go back to is the original Fable.
Ooh,
where
good game.
you would do things like you'd buy all the houses and you'd buy all the armor sets, all the weapons, all the items. And because you didn't have trophies, there was nothing kind of to work towards. So you just kind of made it up as you went along. So it's kind of like that.
Were you an evil or a good Fable player?
I was always an evil because I thought the black armor looked way better than the white armor.
Fair enough. I liked having the halo above my head, but I could never like be good enough because there's always like something stupid that'd be like, no, you're dead.
I think evil was a lot easier to achieve on that game. All you have to do is go punch a few people.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it took was like, you had the halo and you go punch one random citizen. They're like, oh, goodbye.
But it was such a good game. I remember that being, it's in my top 5 games of all time, but I just remember it being my teenage years was spent on the original Fable. And then the expansion came out, the Lost Chapters, and it just got better.
Love that. Love that for you. I really enjoyed those games as well. I think Fable 3 was my favorite. I liked being like the king.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. A lot of people I've spoke to about it in the past have said Fable 3's their favourite. I found it just got a bit too... I don't know what's the best word to describe it. There was just too much added for me. I liked the kind of simplicity of the first one. You didn't have to worry about managing a kingdom or anything. It was just go to house, pick up gold, and that was it.
Gotcha. So I guess deviating a little bit from the old RuneScape stuff. That's fine. People like to hear the other stuff too. Don't worry.
But I got plenty to talk about RuneScape wise because I've been playing it for probably been 18 years, 17 years on and off.
Yeah, you're in the same boat as a lot of us. I was actually talking to somebody today who said they started playing in October of last year.
Wow.
For the first time ever. I was like, that's crazy.
That's exciting.
I know. It's so surreal to think about like people still like finding out about this game or like, and the reasoning they gave to me was he had played a lot of MMOs his whole life and like none of them really kind of gave him the like scratch the itch he was looking for. And he's been playing RuneScape since then. And like, that's pretty much all he's played now.
I think it's one of those games where you can play it for 5 minutes or you can play it for 5 hours and you still progress.
Yeah.
And I think that it makes you feel like you're actually doing something and you can just, get your phone out and just cut a few trees for 5 minutes and level goes up, number goes up and you feel good. Whereas a lot of these other MMOs, you don't really get the same kind of thing.
Plus, I think one unique thing we have is like a lot of like the quest lines and all that stuff. I feel like a lot of MMOs I've tried in the past, like I tried World of Warcraft once and it was just like go kill 5 boars. Cool. Yeah. Now go kill 5 of these things. Cool. Now go to this city and deliver this letter. Whereas here we've got, you have of course got like the big ones. You've got your Monkey Madness 2 with all the puzzles and the boss fight. You've got Song of the Elves, which is a very iconic in regards to like the elf light puzzles and all that stuff, and they kind of made the Morning's End 2 puzzle a bit more exciting than that. So I think there's a lot going for us for like any type of player.
I agree. I think the lore as well is of something that people overlook because, press spacebar, skip everything.
Yeah.
But when you actually do read into it, listen to it, and engage with it a bit more, it's actually not too bad lore-wise.
I think the funny thing about like saying that too is so many of us, like yourself and myself, have played this game for so long. We've done the quest 1,000 times, so it's like, oh, come on, just let me finish it.
Yeah, but if you that first time, if you actually want to engage with it properly, I do think that some of these RuneScape quests are good. Some of them are funny, some of them are exciting, and if you actually, because like I don't know if you've seen Unguided.
No, but I have seen him pop up in my like recommended. I've been interested in watching the videos.
I love that series. I think it's absolutely amazing. He's basically playing the game with no wiki, no plugins, nothing. So he just has all the in-game stuff to do all the quests. So you get to see that very visceral somebody playing the game for the first time and not actually understanding that there are things like the wiki and stuff available, and just trying to see how he deals with all the quests has just been super funny, super enjoyable. And he's engaging with the story in a way that I think a lot of people should try once just to get that quest. Because I love quests. I think the quests are great. But a lot of people just skip everything just to get that big reward at the end.
Yeah. I really like the Dragonkin quest line with like ending at Dragonslayer 2 and all that stuff. I really like that quest line, like how it kind of weaves and dives because you move into like the desert with like the Iclathrin's little helper, and then what's the Tale of Two Cats stuff, and then that kind of ties it all into like the Dragonslayer 2 ending.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the desert kind of quest lines leading up to, especially getting to. Actually, no, I think I like the vampire quest lines a bit better.
Vampire ones are really cool.
Yeah, getting to the night at the theatre and then actually being able to do the raid as part of the quest, I think is relatively annoying if you're trying to do it on your own. But if you've got a team that can come and help, I think that's a really good quest line. Some tough boss fights as well.
So that being said, I'm sure that a lot of this has led into kind of how you view the game today, playing it for so long at this point. So what in your brain said, I'm going to try this Supreme one chunk, and what made you decide Supreme and not go for like the regular or just the extreme? Because I know Supreme, you have a little bit more rules compared to the extreme, whereas the extreme is already kind of wild for those who like have seen some of the content creators. Like obviously the big extreme one chunker is Limpwort. And then you've got, I think up and coming, you've got Happery, who's doing it UIM style, but he picks his own chunks. And so I think that's a unique spin, still being extreme, still doing these crazy things. And so what made you decide to do this Supreme one chunk? And I think that the first guy to do that was the Falador one.
Yeah, Faladaddy.
Buzz.
Yeah.
Buzz. Yeah. I've seen his series as well. So yeah, talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think obviously same as probably anybody that watched the one chunk stuff. Limpwort and Verf were kind of one of the first that I watched, and I enjoyed seeing how they tackled the game differently, being locked into that one chunk. Because you find when you start a new account, you can just do whatever you want. It's endless possibilities. Whereas those guys, it was, I have to do these exact things to achieve what I'm setting out to achieve. And that was great. And it was like, it's extreme. And they've got loads of these rule sets that are quite crazy. And you see Limpwort killing 100,000 men and women to get his defense cape and all that kind of stuff. But then when Buzz released his series and he kind of one-upped it into the Supreme, I saw it as this, it kind of akin to like Dark Souls and the Soulsborne stuff. It was so hard that when you actually achieve it, the rush that people like Buzz and me will get is probably going to be something that you'll remember for a long time. Because I remember Dark Souls banging my head up against walls trying to kill bosses, and then when I did it, the kind of relief, the wave of relief that flooded through my body was akin to drugs, most likely.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. That's what I enjoyed. And I had an extreme account, which started in Seers Village, and I was just doing it for fun. And then my friends were like, "Why don't you record yourself doing it?" Because they were kind of keeping up to date with me and what I was doing, and they were enjoying it. And I was like, if I'm going to do that and make a video out of it, I kind of want to get into that niche with Buzz. Because I think up to now, there's only a couple of us Supreme chunkers, and even less that actually record videos. I was like, that's kind of where I want to sit. I want to take what Buzz has been doing and just do it slightly differently. Because he's in Falador, and I'm in Seers Village.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So what about Seers Village? What about Seers Village said to you, this is where I want to start? I know you said you had an extreme one chunk there before you started recording. So like, what made you decide to do Seers Village first?
I basically spend most of my time in Seers Village because on my group Iron, that is the closest bank. Because I don't have the crafting cape or anything like that, so I don't go to the crafting guild. And I think the GE is slightly further away when you teleport in than Seers Village Bank. So that's constantly where I was teleporting. Every time I wanted to bank, pick anything up, it was always Seers Village. And then when I was thinking about where would be a great place to start it, I was thinking, well, I always go to Seers Village. I know the place. I know what's there. You know, they've got all different types of trees. And there's an agility course, and there's the elementals in an elemental workshop, and I just felt that it was so varied in terms of what I could do there that it just made sense that I always go there. Why not start there?
Awesome. So for those who like haven't like, you know, as much I hate doing this myself, haven't really caught up to the series. So I told you I was going to. I didn't. I lied. I'm sorry. So for those who are like new to this style of gameplay, game mode, you know, self-restriction, whatever people want to call it, what have been your biggest hurdles in that chunk specifically that you're working on? And I guess a little bit about the Supreme rule set that is different from Extreme and regular.
I mean, that's probably a good place to start. Is vanilla chunkers are kind of the original chunkers. There was a content creator called Alex that kind of did the first ever one chunk account.
And it was like an hour long, weren't they?
Yeah, they started in Lumbridge, and it didn't do too many episodes, sadly, even though they were super popular. Maybe not at the start, but eventually they got super popular. And that's where the kind of rule set started, kind of, was just doing the minimal amount of stuff that you could in the chunk to get out. And then that's when then people took that to the next step to say, we're now doing extreme rules, where essentially you take doing the minimal stuff to get out, and you start adding things like getting the 99 capes, and, you know, making sure that you get the lowest prayer that you can do, the lowest magic that you can use with the runes available in the chunk, things like that. And then Buzz obviously came in with the Supreme rules to just kind of one up everything and say, on top of all of that, you have to get the highest level magic spell you can use with the runes. You have to get the highest level prayer available, but also you have to get pets. So in my chunk, I've got the beaver because I've got access to trees, and Rocky because there's men and women that I can pickpocket. So that's kind of the scale. And there's some people that do things even a step up from that. There's a guy called Macca who's doing an insane chunk account where he is essentially saying that everything's on the table. Any training method that you can do, such as catching imps to get certain things to train with, that's on the table. So, you know, the levels kind of scale up pretty quickly in terms of difficulty. But I think with my chunk specifically, because of using the Supreme rule set, you would think that Beaver and Rocky are going to be the most difficult because it's a pet and it's a 1 in 200,000 chance or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But actually right now I'm finding magic is the real tough one to train, because I'm relying on drops from elementals, which is 1 to 2 chaos runes and death runes every, yes, I think it's 1 in 15, 1 in 30. And getting like mind runes from men and women. And I've got to get to 79 magic, which is, 1.2 million XP or something. So it's probably going to be a 6 to 7 month grind. And that's if I get lucky with drops.
And how far into that are you right now? And for those referencing, it is currently February 18th, 2024 as recording.
I'm currently 55 magic. So I've just got access to high alch, which was kind of the intermediate goal between starting and getting 79. So I'm not, let's have a look. I've got it here. I'm at 175k XP, so I've got another million to go.
Still a ways out.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about these chunk accounts is a kind of saving grace for me right now is getting maze randoms. Because once you finish the maze, you get a chance at getting chaos runes and death runes. And they're the kind of main thing that I'm looking for right now, because they're the highest level spells I can cast. But the problem being that maze randoms are in a pool of random events that will show up, and you could go a whole week without even seeing one.
I suppose that being said, that was a huge update that recently happened. Them giving lamps to some other ones like the zombie, Freaky Forester, and then also, of course, adding the count check random event. How has that changed, the one chunk mindset in regards to being able to lamp things, or like now you have a smaller, marginally less chance of getting the maze random because they've added a random event?
Yeah, I guess it's been just a double-edged sword, really. The chunk community kind of, when it was released, everyone was thrilled. Everyone was so happy that they can now, train all these skills that are untrainable because of being stuck into that chunk. But then, yeah, it has made it slightly more difficult now that another one's been added. So the chance of getting the one that you want is lower. But I guess because people, if you're looking for something specific, it's more difficult. But if you just want lamps or whatever, it's not so much of a problem, and people probably enjoy it more.
Mm-hmm.
Where right now I'm looking for the maze random, so it's actually harder. But most people that I've been speaking to just want the lamps, which is fine because the extra one gives a lamp as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess moving a little bit away from the one chunk, just in case people are a little bit more interested in your other series, and that was, you said, basically like your completionist series, but not quite the same way as other people would see as completionists. So what made you decide to turn your group Iron Man into a series like that instead of just playing that as your casual account for fun with your friends?
Well, actually, it was technically my main account because I do have a main, but I don't play on it anymore. It's not maxed. It's actually probably right now the lowest level of all my accounts. So Group Iron Man was just the one that I was playing, and I was playing it for fun to begin with, just with friends, just to have a good time and get ready for raids and doing all that kind of multiplayer content. But essentially, where it got to was I was watching people like Guides for Us All, on YouTube, and I was enjoying that kind of collection log thing that was going on. And then as I started to kind of delve into a bit more, I was following people on the like Basiligus and Marnie and seeing that kind of race for completing the collection log that was going on. And that was really fun, and I was really enjoying it. And then it kind of became something that I was doing on that account. So tedious as well, seeing his series and seeing how he was going around collecting everything and showing you how he was doing it and giving you an idea. I just started to do that on that account just for fun. And then when I decided I was going to make my Chunk account, I was thinking that I want my YouTube channel to be a place where you kind of get consistent content, whereas some of the chunkers that you see, like Limpwort, they just disappear for months because they're obviously doing a massive crazy grind, and I wanted something to fill the gaps. So I was like, I'm doing this collection log thing anyway. What would be a kind of cool spin on the idea that would be something that I would enjoy doing? And that's where the kind of 100% thing came from, was that it'd be something that I would enjoy to play and that potentially people would find interesting if they liked to 100% things, because it's actually quite popular, the 100% community, especially on things like PlayStation.
Yeah, like with like the platinum trophies or like the Steam achievements, being able to, you know, show other people like I have put time into this game and I've really like committed hours to finishing this thing.
Yeah, because it's really, what I think is really impressive. These people that do crazy things for achievements and trophies, and you know, showing that process of I played this game for 1,000 hours to get all of these trophies. I'd love to watch that as a series, but not many people do it in a way that I was enjoying. So I was like, I'll try and do it myself. I don't think it's been overly successful, but I'm enjoying playing it, so it's not too bad.
That's a big thing. I mean, that's what this whole like podcast thing or interview style thing that I started doing, it started as to fill a hole in my channel because I wanted to do more content, but I was so focused on getting things out with Mayfield, and I had other OSRS series in mind, and then I started playing RS3 on the side, and now I don't play any other OSRS accounts besides Mayfield, and though this account takes 6 months sometimes to make a video on, with how slow and with how real life works and all that stuff. So this just kind of fell into like that category with like, we've got other content creators doing stuff like this, but I wanted to talk to people who were like maybe not doing videos ever and like stuff like that, or people who were like also pretty small channels.
Because I mean, we kind of go on about this in the chunk community quite a lot, that the kind of bigger chunkers, we wish that they would, you know, talk about the community a bit more and just, you know, showcase it to the world. Say, look, I've got this platform where I've got 100,000 subscribers. I'm in this clan, this community of all these like-minded people that are doing all of these cool things. And, you know, we kind of wish that they would talk about it a bit more. Whereas what you usually find is the kind of smaller channels are the ones that talk about all of these people that are around them. I mean, I've already mentioned a few chunkers already who are arguably similar popularity to me, or even just slightly less. But you wouldn't know about them because people like Limp or Verf don't necessarily talk about it openly, or at least not that I've seen anyway. And I think it'd be great if that happened, not just for the chunk community, but for any kind of community. Because I mean, your Ultimate Iron Man, like the 200mm fire making, that is so impressive. Like it's wild. Like I in my head, I can't even imagine how rough that was. But being able to see a video talking about it was amazing. But who's to know that that's out there unless other people that do similar content, you know, start talking about it.
So I think the Ultimate Iron Man community has become a little bit more mainstream as time has gone on. I think the like hardcore Iron Man craze kind of died a little bit when it got nearly 10 years since the game mode came out, and people were still remaking accounts and seeing how far they could get and then dying, and because of server lags and all this stuff. And it's just like, how can we make the game, you know, extreme, enjoyable to watch, but without this stupid risk?
Yeah.
And then I think that kind of made the Ultimate Iron Man seem a little bit more appealable, because I know when I first started playing an Ultimate Iron Man, it was still kind of, people were like, why would you do that to yourself? Nowadays, it's more like kind of what you said. It's more of like, oh, that's impressive. I still don't know if I could see myself doing it, but maybe in the future somebody will, you know, or like you will. But then of course I added the other benefit to myself, or I guess not benefit, more of the like shackle to my legs of being level 3, so it makes things a little bit more difficult with everything else. And the level 3 Ultimate Iron Man community is very, 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 very small. There's very few people I've never met before. And even if I haven't met them, a lot of them have seen my channel or a channel of somebody else who I know. So like they'll see me, like I'll say something in like say I'm adding a star and I'll say something. Like a lot of times if somebody in there is level 3 or they're an ultimate, they have like seen me before in a Discord or a YouTube video or something of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, look, I personally think that Ultimate Iron Man is so impressive when you kind of, especially with things like you being level 3. Like my brain doesn't properly compute how you've managed to not gain any levels in, any kind of combat. That just in my head just does not compute properly. But even like, Settled doing his region lock Stompletics, that was an Ultimate Iron Man. And if you don't really understand it properly until the end, it makes it even more impressive that he managed to achieve all of that without a bank and, just his invent. So, yeah, I think it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I think what you're doing is crazier than what I'm doing.
And I would disagree.
I'm sure you would.
It's all about perspective though too. It's like some people would see like any type of one chunk or region locked is crazy. People see playing just a regular sanctioned JX game mode like ultimate or hardcore is crazy. Like I have people who I know who are like who play mains and like I would never even playing Iron Man. So it's like it's all about what people have the time for and what they have the enjoyment. I guess not even the time, like what they have the patience and enjoyment for. Because I have played this game, as we said, for 17 years for me, probably 18 years. And I couldn't ever fathom playing a main again. It just doesn't sound fun at all.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Yeah, because I mean, I've been through a lot with RuneScape, starting back when it first came out. Well, not the kind of original, when they kind of upgraded the graphics and made it less pixel art. But back then to then, moving through to RS3, I spent a bit of time in there, and then coming back to old school for a bit, and then doing a bit of a main and not really enjoying it. Then doing a group with my friends, and now doing this Supreme account. There's always something new. You can come back and enjoy the game in a different way, and I feel like it's only going to keep going that way. Settled is kind of leading the way with bringing these new ideas to the table. Tile Man and this new nightmare mode stuff. It's always something that you can do differently, and I think that's what makes this game, without trying to cause too many arguments in your comments, probably one of the best games of all time.
If it's not the best like generic game, it's definitely the best, I would say, MMO of all time.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think
you probably get a lot of people saying World of Warcraft, but I think this is better.
I think World of Warcraft has just such a different niche. I was watching. Have you ever heard of the content creator's name is Waydot?
No, I don't think so.
So he did content on OSRS and RS3, and then he just got kind of burnt out of both, and now he is doing just generic MMO content. So he like plays a new MMO that he's never played before, which is most of them because he's played RuneScape his whole life. And he talks about like the comparisons of like what it's like to be a new player to this MMO in this year. And I would love to get the perspective, and hopefully I will. I plan to talk to that guy who I just talked about, who's only been playing the game for less than 6 months, and just get the perspective on like what is it about this game that's so different from other MMOs, aside from like, because the other ones, you look at your World of Warcraft, you can only choose I think 2 or 4 specialties to do that are not like killing things. and you have to pick a class and all that stuff. You can't like, if you want to play like a necromancer, you have to make a whole new character and do that.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess that means that you don't get as much variety. And I think it would be super interesting actually to hear what that guy thinks, because we're coming from this perspective of seeing the game evolve over 17, 18 years, seeing everything that's happened to it, and seeing how Jagex specifically have put time into these two very different games almost, RS3 and on old school. They are quite different. So seeing how that's evolved over that time gives us a kind of view of the game. Whereas this person who just comes in fresh as anything, 6 months of time spent in old school, it'd be super interesting just to hear what they think about the game in general.
Actually, he's playing RS3 in old school.
Oh, is he? Okay, even more so, because that's got arguably more stuff to it than old school. It's got more variety, releasing new skills all the time.
More complications.
Well, yeah, I mean, I maxed on RS3.
Really?
Yeah, I did it before. It was before. Is it necromancy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I maxed just before archaeology came out, and then I remaxed when archaeology came out. But I don't know. I stopped after that to play the group iron. So I don't remember what's actually come out since then.
Not a whole ton. I mean, necromancy was obviously a big thing. You've got the update to like Fort 4 and 3, which is like where the sawmill was. Was that out when you were?
I don't think so.
That's fairly new, no. I know, as of last year.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, a lot of small things.
What was your take on necromancy? Have you done a lot of it?
I think necromancy is super cool. I think necromancy was big for that game in general for the sole factor that it kind of made them rethink how combat works. I don't know if you know, but they're currently reworking the entire combat system again in RuneScape 3.
Oh, wow.
Because the way necromancy works is different from the other 3 combat styles, and they had to make it different because there was nothing. Everything was already worked into the game as being weak to magic, rain, the combat triangle, right? Yeah. So they're adding a 4th like piece in the middle. So basically they had to make it so necromancy can hit on anything without having like super lot of drawbacks. And by making it that way, it made it the most powerful combat style. Like it's just like in old school how like when you get a T-bow or a Bofa, like it doesn't matter like if you're doing bandos or Zammy or whatever, like that's what you're going to use. It's the same thing. Yeah. Once you have like 70 to 80 necromancy, like you should not be using it any other combat style for anything else. It's just that much better.
Which I guess is good in a way because it gives a bit of a fresh perspective on the game. But I guess it people not are kind of I don't know, purists kind of disliking it because now you just have to go necromancy or there's no point.
So it exposed a huge flaw in the system, and so they're reworking all the other combat styles to work how necromancy works. So now they're basically putting every combat style on an even playing field. So like if a boss is weak to water magic, like it's going to be way more efficient to use magic than it would ever have been to use necromancy. So
that is interesting.
Yeah, so it kind of put how kind of outdated now, ironically, RS3 like the combat was compared to like how they fixed it with necromancy, or how they broke it, I should say, with necromancy, and how they're fixing it now. So I'm excited to see how that works out. Yeah,
because I mean, my RS3 time was a bit of a blur, to be honest. I don't really remember much of what I did, but the only thing I do remember is dungeoneering. That was kind of my thing. I really liked dungeoneering.
Dungeoneering is cool.
It kind of translated into old school because I really enjoy Gauntlet.
Same.
And it kind of has that dungeoneering feel to it. But yeah, my RS3 time was such a blur.
That being said, I mean, we can kind of look back into the past as to, you started about 2006, you would say?
Something. All I remember is that I was either a young teenager or I was just preteen when I started, because I remember I started an account called Undead 109 because apparently there was 108 undeads before that.
Fair enough.
And Undead 109 quickly, it became one of my favorite things I was doing at the time, because at that time there was original Xbox out and getting close to 360 times, and
And Halo was popping.
Yeah, and the Call of Duty, I think Call of Duty 4
was getting close.
Yeah, it's getting close. So it was kind of in that time of really popular games, but I really enjoyed old school. But what happened was that account got hacked, and I never got it back.
Oh no!
I know it broke me because I'd put so much time and effort into it, and all it took was somebody just to very quickly, because I didn't fall for any noob traps. I didn't follow anyone into the wilderness. I didn't say if you type your password as blah blah blah, it will star it all out like this. I didn't fall for any of that stuff. I just logged back on one day and it wouldn't let me in. So my password was wrong, and I tried resetting it and just nothing worked. So I just had to give up on it, unfortunately. And that's then what made me... I played a few more accounts after that, but eventually I just stopped because they weren't the same as that first one. But yeah, it's probably maybe 2006-ish, yeah.
So after that happened and you kind of went through accounts and you kind of stopped, like, what made you come back to the game and like come back not full time but like really give it another go? Like, when was that? Would you say?
It was when RS3 came out. I don't remember when that was.
2012.
2012. It was probably not long after that then, because my group of friends that are in my group Iron now, they started RS3, and it was actually a similar time to when we started playing League of Legends. And it was kind of that I was torn between the two, and I ended up playing both at the same time. But RS3, I started it with those guys, and then I probably played up until Group Iron came out on old school, and then that's when I flicked back to old school rather than RS3.
So you played RS3 for a while.
Yeah, I played it for a while. Yeah, I'm maxed on it, so it's a lot easier than old school RuneScape to max. But yeah, it took a while because I was kind of on and off playing a lot of League. But yeah, I played it for a long time.
Wow, you're the first person I've ever talked to that has been like, yeah, I played RS3, because Group Iron is what, a year and a half, 2 years old?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's 2. It may even be almost 3 now. I'm sure it was during the dark days when it was released.
Yeah, I think it was, because I remember I hadn't got my promotion at work yet. So it must have been 2021-ish, like I think it was like late 2021.
It must be, yeah. It must be. Because I remember playing Group Iron pretty much all the way through, being locked in a room or my house. So yeah, it couldn't have been any longer than 2.5, 3 years ago.
Wow, can't believe it's already been that long.
No, but I mean, those kind of 3 years I spent playing the Group Iron have been, again, some of the greatest video game experiences I've probably ever had.
So what made you guys decide to move from RS3, which you put, probably a good 5-6 years into it, back into old school? Like, was it just kind of remembering what you once had when you were with Undead 109 when you were younger, or was it just kind of like a, hey, we can do this all together now?
I think that's because we kind of have I guess you could call him a ringleader, Matt, who he just gets these ideas to do this stuff, and then he'll try and get us all on board. And he managed to convince 3 other of our friends to get back into old school RuneScape, because again, he did very similar to me, started off at the kind of beginnings in 2006 or whatever, then swapped to RS3, then maxed on RS3, and then saw that Group Iron was coming out on old school. And then he obviously convinced all of us to join in, and I kind of went along with it just as I wanted to hang out on a game with my friends, because we struggle to find a game that we all like, and to this day we still struggle. But you have these kind of 6-month grace periods where all of us are kind of locked in to a game, and then they slowly kind of disappear. But old school was the new one that Matt kind of suggested to us, and I was like, I want to hang out with my friends and play some games, so I'll give it a try. It just so happens that we're still playing together, 3 years later.
That's awesome, though. Is there so moving from something that's completely different, I guess, into kind of a clunkier game, is there any quality of life things that you miss, or things that you miss from when you were playing RS3, or have you kind of adapted pretty much 100% now to how old school is comparatively speaking?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I like the fact that it's harder, just in general, to do things, to get levels, because on RS3 you've got your daily tasks, which you just go and do those every day, and you just get a chunk of XP and a bunch of skills. Whereas the only kind of thing you have similar to that in old school is doing Tears of Gothics. So I guess daily tasks might be a nice thing, but I'm not saying I'm a old school RuneScape purist, but I don't think we need to make it any easier really, other than maybe through plugins, because I like plugins. I know a lot of people don't like them because they make the game so you don't really have to play the game properly. But
a lot of them have given us so much quality of life, and like you mentioned earlier with Settled's Nightmare mode, that would not be possible without a plugin.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he as much as we hate to say it, he definitely could have just lied and not off screen got hit one.
Yeah.
And then just never said anything.
Which would have been it'd have been so easy to do. And I'm so glad that he didn't do that.
Yeah. Whereas now it's okay, and it's extreme. If he gets hit once, his password gets fucking destroyed, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few games out there that do that you only get one life and then you have to start again. So it's a nice concept to run with. But I guess...
Go ahead.
Go on. I was just going to say that I think it's maybe something that, to that kind of extreme level, is something that you want to watch more than you would ever want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still nice that the plugin hub, allowed it to happen.
100%. And I was going to say, that's kind of how old RS3 hardcore Iron Man worked. If you died, your account was locked.
Right. I never did. Until this account, the chunk locked one, I've not actually done hardcore. This is my third hardcore Iron Man.
Oh, nice.
I mean, it's definitely a level of stress that right now is not too much of a big deal, but I can see how, people like Mutz, the amount of stress that he must go through while trying to, kill Awakened Desert Treasure 2 bosses on a hardcore, it blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah, Awakened Leviathan does not look fun at all.
No, I tried to do it on Leagues 4 and I still didn't manage to do it, even with all those buffs. So it's probably a skill issue more than anything else.
So that being said, one thing that kind of stood out to me in my mind from everything you've been saying so far is your thoughts on a completionist or trimmed comp coming into OSRS. Since you like to play that style, and was it something that you ever strived to get on RS3 when you were playing?
It was, and I spent a good long time trying, and I think my RuneScape 3 knowledge is getting lower by the day since I've not played it in a long time. But the last thing I remember doing is I was in the Tsar place. I was doing something in there. It wasn't the fight caves. It was which is the one where the floor kind of starts burning with flames and you have to step off and do waves. I can't remember what that's called.
Fight kiln.
Fight kiln. I was doing fight kiln for some reason. That was the last thing I was doing before I logged off and never logged back on. But I assume it was something to do with the completion cape, because that was the last thing I was trying to get. But you kind of answered my question for me, is that probably is one of the things I would like to see in old school, is some sort of completion cape. But doing it in a way where it doesn't necessarily affect anybody else. You know, it doesn't like give crazy buffs or anything where it's like I kind of have to get that to get best in slot for whatever.
Yeah, say like combine the music, the perks of the music cape and the achievement diary cape and the quest.
Yeah.
If it just acted like a max cape but had like something different that made it stand out more, great.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's got to be done in a way that you don't piss off, 90% of your player base, because now they have to do these weird, crazy, stupid things to actually get something that may be best in slot for various bosses or whatever. I think if it's just, like you said, just combining a few cape, like the music cape teleporting to Phalo and all that kind of stuff, just into one cape, that might be a nice, just quality of life thing more than anything else.
Is there would you like to see the same way they have implemented it in RS, like with like the glow underneath, or is there some other way you think that they could achieve that without, having to rework part of the game engine? I know they can do stuff like that because with the Fire Cape and Infernal Cape, of course, they have that ability. But my curiosity stems from how do you think they would implement a cape like that without destroying the game engine, rebuilding things?
Yeah, I mean, I guess because I never liked the particle physics thing for the capes in RS3.
I love it.
I always thought it was a bit like, it was maybe a bit too anime for what the game is, kind of a medieval point and click game. It almost kind of took it a little, I don't know, maybe a little bit too far in my mind. Because I don't know if you ever played a game called Rose.
No.
That was kind of another MMO type game, but that was like super anime. Everything about it was just maybe an MMO anime game, and that kind of particle physics thing on capes and wings and all sorts was in that game, and I never really liked that. I thought I liked it in Rose because it made sense with the world and everything that was going on, but for RuneScape it just didn't make any sense to me. So if it was my decision, if I was working at Jagex and I was like, how do we implement this cape? I wouldn't add any of the crazy particle stuff going on. I would just do it in a way that fits with what we have in old school right now. So the max cape, it's super iconic. When you look at anybody wearing it, you know what it is. And you also know what they've done to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would just be a simple case of, it's just a slight variation on that, where it's just another cape that looks really cool, and you also know what its function is and what a person's had to do to get there. Because I mean, like the kind of the best thing that we have in old school right now is probably the Inferno cape, because it has the effect on it. You can see the lava flowing down it, and that's quite cool. But it's not over the top.
Yeah, I think it's like a very, very good balance in regards to flashiness. And then if you see something with Infernal Max Cape, you're like, okay, that's a gamer right there.
I mean, this is a world first potentially, but I have never completed the Inferno. I've also never maxed on old school, and I don't think I've ever actually been into the Inferno, not even once.
I haven't either.
And it's something that you would expect somebody that's playing the game for however many years now to have attempted, probably at least once. But yeah, I've never done it. Never had an Inferno cape. Never teleported with a max cape. Not done any of it.
Neither have I.
But I will. I will one day.
I won't.
I mean, you won't, yeah, because you're going to be on your level 3 Ultimate Iron Man. But
I suppose if my if my RS3 account, if I ever get bored of RS3 and go back to playing 2 OSRS accounts, maybe I will eventually. Because I have like I have a hardcore Ironman that has like 92 RC and like some decent stats. So like, I don't know, I could get there probably. Just all about the effort and time.
I've got a question for you actually. Just thinking about this. You've obviously, being an Ultimate Ironman, have spent a hell of a lot of time training skills. What is your worst skill to train?
Thieving.
What have and that's you hate that the most?
I hate thieving the most.
What's the reason behind that?
It's very different from most skills because like thieving is like, for all intents and purposes, is you stand in one place and you spam click. That's it.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you get deeper into it, you can do pyramid plunder. The only thieving method that I like doing is artifact thieving on Piscarilius.
Oh, okay.
Do
you set the guards up, or do you? Someone else to set them up.
I find a world that has them already set up.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I can't BS because like it's hard for me to set them up because like I have to run all the way back.
Yeah.
Obviously with the addition of all the new minecarts around Zaya, it's actually made my life a lot easier. So I paid for that permanent unlock a long time ago. So I've had that permanently unlocked forever. So I can now like, and I actually done some chambers. I've leached some chambers and I have the raids tablet so I can teleport to the raids. And there's a minecart like right next to that teleport.
Okay.
So I can get pretty much anywhere on Zaya I want from there.
That is interesting. I never really get that answer of thieving. It's always like runecrafting.
Runecrafting is my favorite skill.
Wow. You are a sadist.
I mean, that's what I started Mayfield out as. Like, I've said this in a few podcasts before. I don't know how many people have listened like that far in to hear me say this, but like, this account was supposed to be the end of me playing RuneScape. I was kind of bored of the game. I was kind of done. And I wanted to, do something cool before I left. And that was kind of what I did in RS3 before I quit RS3 as well. I had some trophy accounts. Like I had an untrimmed farming account. I had an untrimmed untrimmed agility account. I was pretty close to 120 fishing on one of my accounts, stuff like that, when Master Capes first came out for everything.
Mm.
And then I started playing Mayfield. I started this account actually in like early mid 2019. And then I got a few small things done on it. I got it set up to be at the Zaya library because that's where you had to do runecrafting XP on my account first. Like that, I had to get 77 there. Like that was what you had to do first.
Right.
There was no Guardians of the Rift. And I got like 50 something, and then I was like, I'm done. And then, but I never did combat on it at that point either, so it was still level 3. And so I was playing my like main hardcore at the time, and then I died, and then I made a main account. I like de-ironed it, and then I was just like bored, and I was like, I still have this other account that I can play though. And I had the name Mayfield on another account from a long time ago. I've had this name for almost 10 years at this point. So I moved it over on this account, and I was like, I got to like 70 at the library, and I was like, oh, if I get to 70, I can do it. I can get to 77, do blood runes. And then like through the perseverance and all that stuff, I got to 77. I did blood rune crafting and then soul rune crafting. And then I got to top page, and then that was supposed to be the end. And then COVID came around, and I just kind of never stopped playing.
Well, I'm glad you didn't, because again, you've interviewed or podcasted with a lot of great content creators, and it's been I especially enjoy seeing the Ultimate Iron videos of just crazy stats, 200 mil fire making, all that kind of stuff, because it's things that I may never do. So I'm glad someone else is doing it instead.
Well, thank you, because the eventual goal, as asinine as this is to say, because it's literally like a 12-year goal, is 200 mil all skills on a level 3 Ultimate Iron Man.
Yeah, has anyone done that yet?
No, nobody's even done 200 mil on a regular Ultimate Iron Man.
Wow.
Only the second Iron Man ever, DKHO, did 200 mil recently. He finally finished.
Wow.
And of course, before that was Iron Higer. But yeah, there's like, it's it's not really something that's feasible because I don't have access to a lot of the herb patches. So even if I were to do herb runs every day, it would still take, I think it's like 9 years.
It just, wow.
On an average of like, I think it was like an average of like 6 or 8 herb runs a day.
Jesus.
So
And that's every day.
That's every day. You can't miss a day. And that's like 9 years straight. So that's why it's like a very, very unfeasible goal. But you know, if I have this super unattainable goal, like that will take me many, many years to finish, there's always a reason to log in.
I mean, it's you've got one of those goals which is so lofty that it may well keep you playing this game for the next 12 years, which is great because you should, because it's a good game.
100%. And that's the other thing too, is like, as you said, like I'll log in at work sometimes, like on mobile when I have like I'm on my lunch break, I'll log in and do an herb run. Then I'm like, oh, that's another 30 herbs towards it. There we go.
Yeah, so, it's that's what makes this game, I think, so appealing to me personally. Is that, I mean, it's slightly changed now with the Chunk account, but it just, you know, with the group iron, I could log on anywhere, anytime, and spend any amount of time I wanted on it, and still do something. Even just a herb run, or just a full farm run, even just getting some birdhouses, something that's just quick, simple, easy, doesn't take too much brain power.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can log on and do, a full 8 hours of raids if you wanted to.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's infinite variety, and content creators are constantly pushing this game to the absolute max, to the absolute limits. And then like, I'm sure like the people who make these plugins for like some of the crazy stuff are like talking to other devs of other things. And it's just like, we've got so many talented people in the community that have just made it so accessible with simple things such as quest guides to some of the most entertaining content on, gaming YouTube being like settled. Like I know he's talked about before, there are people who watch his videos that have never played RuneScape before.
Which is wild to me.
I know.
I mean, if you think about it, the height of old school RuneScape was not that long ago, was it? It was leagues, and we were having 200,000 people playing the game.
I think it was like 240,000.
And some of those you would assume are new people, but Settled's getting Swampletics, the kind of the full 12 hours of Swampletics. That video's got like 4 million views. Like,
yeah.
Who are these other 3.8 million? Just watching this medieval point and click game played in a way that's not actually how the game was supposed to be played. Like that to me is wild. I mean, it's great for us because it means that more people potentially will come into the game, and then the game will get bigger and better, and they might, put more money into the game in some way. I think it's crazy.
I think about it in the same way as I watch YouTube content, because like I've never played Rust, but I love watching like the super long form Rust movies. I've never played Project Zomboid, but I love watching those like I survived 100 days videos in like almost any game. It's like I've watched videos on games I've never even like thought about playing before. Like I've never played Subnautica. I've watched Subnautica videos. Like, I think it takes a truly unique person and like truly like considerable amount of effort to get your videos of a certain thing past the audience it was meant for.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, on that kind of 100 days thing, one of my favorite YouTubers of all time does Minecraft 100-day videos.
I love Minecraft 100-day videos.
And I watch Forge Labs. That guy is so funny. And it's kind of, I've for my YouTube series, I take little bits from other people, things that I like, and I'm trying to mash them together in a way that's presentable and fun. But the thing I liked about Forge Labs is he's so bad at Minecraft. He's so bad at that game. But he always finishes the 100 days regardless. But he's so bad at that game. And I feel like that is something that I am very much like on old school RuneScape. I am terrible at this game. But I always seem to manage to do things like complete Gauntlet somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it was so funny that somebody could be that bad at a game, but still finish the thing he wants to do and then make a video which resonates with all these people who potentially, I mean, you probably wouldn't say they don't play Minecraft because most people have in the past, but there's probably some people in there that just like, this guy's funny, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't need to know what Minecraft is or play it because he's doing it in a way that's actually kind of different to the game anyway.
Yeah, it takes a very, like I said, very unique personality, I would say. And it sounds like that person. I think now that you said the name, it sounds familiar to me. I think I've seen probably one or two of his videos.
Most likely, if you like the 100-day stuff and you've seen some Minecraft ones, he's probably been in that list at some point. But yeah, I think there's kind of two streams for me. There's the people that like Settled and potentially the Forge Labs as well, where they do this kind of, it's story based. They're creating a world. And even more recently, a guy who to me has been the best person in the Chunk community. He's called Josh. JoshIsntGaming. I don't know if you've seen his stuff before.
That's the Yanille guy, right?
Yeah, ChunkYanille. Absolutely fantastic. His series is probably my favorite Chunk series of all time.
I actually haven't watched it. It just pops up in my recommended all the time, and I'm like, oh, I'll get to it eventually. I just haven't. I've been really into like video game collecting videos and like going around and like trying to find that kind of stuff. So I watched like that kind of stuff now recently.
I love that too. But the thing with Josh specifically is he's doing this Chunk account, but instead of it being kind of like all the other Chunk accounts are, where it's just progress stuff, it's just like, I got this crazy level, I did this crazy thing, which I love. I love that kind of progress video. But he does it in a way that he also has a story aspect to it. And he really engages everybody that watches it. And he's currently he's rising with subscribers and view counts. And he completely deserves it because he puts so much effort into his videos. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen that series, to watch it when you get time, because it's absolutely amazing. But it's that kind of, the two streams of someone that does story-based stuff and then people that just do progress stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got into this niche of both in the same video.
That's kind of like similar to how I want to do a project, but sorry, continue. I kind of interrupted you there.
No, sorry. It's just, I like both. I love the story stuff. Like Swampletics was probably the best kind of story in the RuneScape community. I think most people can probably agree with that. But then people like, Limpwort, they have the best, or even like Guides for Us All, they have the best progress stuff, where it's just them getting levels, getting collection log slots. Mm-hmm. There's not much story to it. It's just like, I'm here, and now I'm here, and now I'm there. And I love both of those individually, but Josh is kind of taking both of those and kind of cramming them together in a way that is slowly becoming, to me, the best series out there.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like, I want to take a lot of inspiration from like the 100 Days videos, the like long form movie style videos. And I wanted to do like a RuneScape thing. I've talked about it in a few podcasts. It's something that I want to do. But with like, in regards to like time and motivation, it's not really like on the table right now. It's something that like I thought about doing Leagues for, but I just didn't enjoy Leagues for, so I made that video. I don't know if you watched the video.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
It like it hit the recommended pretty hard. Got a lot of comments, a lot of dislikes. I hearted every comment, no matter what people said, because man, the I don't think some people don't realize like if you comment some like hateful shit, it's still like it brings the video up in the algorithm.
Yeah.
So it's less. So I'm like, thank you.
But I think it's good. I mean, if it's similar with my videos where I make a lot of mistakes, I get things wrong, like maths specifically. I'm terrible at it. And if someone in the comments criticizes what I've done, I don't mind if they're, pleasant about it. Go, you got this wrong, dumbass. This is how you do it. That's fine. But the people that just come in and just, spit hate at you, those are the kind of people that I'm like, what? You just wasted both of our times. But you did just give me more algorithm time. So thank you.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I looked at it too. It's just like, I feel like growing up as the internet has evolved and shaped, if you've been with it as long as like probably both of us have, at this point you're kind of immune to a lot of the hate. Like there's things that can definitely still go under your skin. Don't get me wrong. But like most of like the generic hateful pseudo like homophobic and racist stuff that people can try and say to you, it's like, tell me something I haven't heard before, Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, another couple of things that I tried to put into my videos was I wanted them to feel as chill as possible.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have this kind of fast-paced throw stuff at you. Here's as much content as I can physically get into this video, and I'm going to spend hours cutting out all of the gaps in between my words so that it is kind of bam, 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 bam. And I like that, don't get me wrong. People like Guys for Us All do that all the time. But I wanted my videos to be a bit more chill, like we're in the room together and I'm just talking to you while I'm playing a game. I want it to feel like that because I feel like YouTube's going that way. It's kind of going the TikTok kind of route where everything is 6 seconds long and it's super quick, fast paced, and you're just flicking through stuff. And I don't think that's good.
Yeah, everybody wants the instant dopamine hit every 5 seconds, and like some of my videos can be like that. But there are also times where like I'll sit down and talk for like a full minute in a clip.
Yeah,
about like what's going to happen or what I want to happen next, and then the next clip will be nothing at all what I just talked about.
Yeah, I do that all the time. I'm convinced I'm going to be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to move into this. And it's like, I'm going to go and do Gauntlet now. And then the next clip is me pissing about at the rat boss or something. But yeah, I wanted it to feel chill. So that's why it's got lo-fi hip-hop kind of as a baseline to everything. And that's what ties all the clips together, because you don't clip all the music as it goes along. It's just one song that runs for 3 minutes. But then I don't cut out any of the kind of the gaps in my sentences. I leave them all in. So it feels like we're having a conversation more than anything. Or at the very least, you're sat there in your pajamas, relaxing with a cup of tea or a beer or something, and you're just kind of watching me talk at you about the game I'm playing. That's what I want it to feel like. And it kind of stemmed from I can't sleep in dark with no sound. I have to have some sort of light source and sound. Mm-hmm. So I watch Minecraft long plays. So it's just got rain sounds and someone's just playing Minecraft and building a house or something, and there's no commentary or nothing. I like to do things like that, and it kind of calms me and it helps me to sleep. And that's kind of what I wanted it to feel like. But also what I wanted to do was just give a bit more positivity back. Because I don't know if you spend much time on Twitter.
It's been less and less recently.
I don't blame you. But the old school community on Twitter seems to have slowly be going downhill and getting even more deranged because there's drama all over the shop. And it just seems like people are shouting at each other all the time now. So in my videos, at the end, I like to do a kind of optimistic check-in with people to be like, are you doing good? Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. everyone has troubles and whatever. And I kind of wanted to put all of that together into a video, so it felt like we're going to relax together for 20 minutes, and at the end I'm going to turn to you and go, "You're all right. Don't worry about life. You'll get there." And hopefully I've achieved that in some sort of way. But I seem to get more comments about people telling me all the things I'm doing wrong in the video rather than thanking me for, saying a nice thing to them. Which is, I can't expect people to do it, but sometimes it's nice to see that there's more positivity in the comments than hate.
That's the biggest thing, is like doing these casts and doing my videos. I very rarely get a lot of like criticism or hatred. The first video was the Leagues 4 video I made. That was the first one that like people really decided to voice their opinion, because it was a very opinion video. It was just me saying why Leagues 4 was bad.
Yeah.
And of course that's going to, people who are playing it right now, at that moment in time, people were playing it very heavily. So I knew it was going to hit a wider audience than my subscriber count would suggest. And, but it was actually quite 50-50. It's interesting to see like the formula that like we all think in our minds of how things are going to be perceived. So like, you've just spent a lot of time talking about how like, this is how I want to come across, and like how other people actually perceive what you're doing. It's a very interesting thing to think about, especially being like somebody like you and me who like put ourselves out there on the internet, not necessarily like some of those people who like do like their real names and they're doing like vlogs. It's just like, we're internet names behind a screen. No face, just a voice. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, I don't mind people voicing their opinions. I don't mind if people disagree with certain things. But like the things that you say in your Leagues 4 video, I didn't agree with a lot of it. I liked Leagues 4. I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't go to your comment section and start throwing hate at you. I'd like to do it in this kind of format where, we have a conversation about it and we say, I liked it this way, I liked it this way. And then that's it. And then you move on. But it just seems like as soon as you get behind a keyboard, people think it's okay to tell you how much they don't like you for whatever reason. I mean, to be fair, in my comments, most of the people are super nice and they're really helpful for me personally by being positive and saying they enjoyed this and they enjoyed that, and it's been great. But the early videos, you had a lot of people that were just telling me that I was bad. People saying, "Oh, your voice is boring and your videos sound like shit," and all this kind of stuff. And it was like, I don't know how much time I had to spend telling you that this was my first ever video and my first ever time talking into a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
But people just didn't care. They just wanted to tell me I was bad, and I never liked that. And to this day, it still does upset me to a point when people do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've kind of grown a bit more dealy to it, where I just understand that people are going to say what they want, so there's no point me wasting time getting upset about it. But having that positive spin at the end of my videos is hopefully something that encourages that type of person to stick around.
If it's any consolation, I do think that you get across the like very relaxing vibe very well. And I spend most of my life like, my voice has been like pretty high my whole life. And like when I go through drive-through sometimes, people will say ma'am. Because my voice is just that high.
I don't think it's that high, personally.
I'm sure when it comes across through like a loudspeaker at like a McDonald's, it probably does sound much like a higher timbre. But like I record music as well. I'm like a singer and a vocalist, so it's like I have to listen to myself talk and sing and scream, and I've just gotten so used to it now. I used to hate it more than anything in the world.
Are you in a band or anything like that?
Yeah. No, I'm in a band. I've been in a band for like 3.5 years now.
No way. What type of what genre are we talking?
We do
'Cause I have a wide taste.
post-hardcore stuff, like kind of a mix between post-hardcore and post-metal, like melodic stuff, screaming stuff.
There is a potential that I've heard of you then.
Breakdown.
Because that is my genre right there.
I doubt you have, but I'll ask you after the cast if you have.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Because my music tastes are very varied, but I spend most of the time. It's weird because my videos have lo-fi hip hop, but actually what I listen to, kind of in equal amounts outside of the videos, is just general heavy metal of various sorts and subgenres.
And I listen to like I'm in that kind of band, but I listen to like a lot of like hip hop and stuff like that. Like when I write music, like lyrically, I take a lot of influence from like that style of music. So my lyrics are very different. Like the way I like set up the scheme for a new song is very different compared to like a lot of bands I would say that I've like seen before or like listened to before.
I guess maybe, I mean, this is me talking about it, not actually knowing what band you're in, but it kind of sounds like you'll have this kind of new metal-y kind of vibe lyrically, maybe. Is that right? It kind of
potential. It doesn't come across that way, but like if somebody was like to go dissect it, it definitely would sound like that.
But with a kind of post-hardcore, undertone to everything, with having crazy bass rather than the kind of new metal, which is more about just weird instrumentals more than anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get too far away from RuneScape stuff if you want to kind of keep on track, but
no, I mean, this whole thing is like, obviously it is a RuneScape podcast. People just play the game, but I'm sure there are people who like are interested in more about you or myself in more of like a outside of the game manner. So
yeah, because I mean, I don't. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, since we're on the topic, like let's talk about like some other things you do outside of the game. Like I know in regards to like the type of accounts we play, we do probably spend an unhealthy amount of time sometimes playing the game, or even think about it too much in a healthy way, while we're doing other things. So
yeah, you could say that.
I don't want to project on you. This is just my own perspective.
Well, I mean, I started this chunk account in October 2023, and I've currently played 43 days and 21 hours, which is a lot to do in 4 months?
Yeah.
I would call that unhealthy, I think.
Yeah, I have almost 190 days played.
Wow, that's actually similar to my group Iron.
Yeah.
Actually.
Which is about, I think it's like 4,500 hours around that mark.
That's a lot of hours. I mean, if you're spreading it over multiple years, it's probably not so bad, but
it's still well over 1,000 hours a year though.
Yeah, that's a lot of hours. Some would say unhealthy, but
some would say
maybe it's good for you.
I could have been doing 1,000 hours a year of black tar heroin, so look at it that way.
Exactly.
So outside of like playing the game, I know you mentioned a little bit you play League of Legends. We talked about that a little bit last night. It's kind of bad for your mental health.
I hate that game.
But you can't stop.
I can't stop. I just can't stop.
So
I think a lot of people have that similar take on League of Legends.
Definitely. I actually I remember like when League of Legends was in beta. I played it that long ago.
Wow. That's a long time ago.
I think it was like 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when it came out. I was like, this looks cool. And I played like a little bit of it and I just like didn't care for it.
I was very similar. I remember playing it at my friend Matt's house on his dining room table with my crap laptop that I had at university. It was a MacBook, the really like chunky ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm surprised it even downloaded League, to be honest, and played it. But I remember sitting at his dining table and it was like season 2. maybe season 3, and I just played Malphite top over and over and over again for maybe a month, and then I gave up. I was like, I've got other stuff to do. I'm at uni, I'm out drinking all the time and playing Dark Souls 2 at that point in time. And then I finally came back to League. It was probably similar time to Group Iron, because I was asked by some other friends if I wanted to join their Clash teams. So I've probably been playing it now for the last 3 to 4 years, and I hate it more than anything on this planet. But I will play it every day without fail.
So you mentioned something there that kind of intrigued me. 2 questions. Favorite Dark Souls game, favorite Soulsborne game. So anything in the Dark Souls like area, but what's your favorite of the trilogy first?
Trilogy is obvious, probably, because I think you could discount Dark Souls 2 pretty much straight away. Unless you're going to tell me it's your favorite.
Dark Souls 2 is my favorite, but go on.
Okay. I think it's a toss-up between 1 and 3. I think 1 probably is probably my favorite, just because that was the original, other than Demon Souls, obviously. But it was that kind of game where it was new, it was fresh, and it gave me that feeling of, you could say, relief, ecstasy. I don't know, whatever way you want to describe it. When you bang your head against a wall for 6 hours and then finally kill a boss, that feeling you get, that game was the first time I felt that in any video game.
Hell yeah.
So I think I would say,
yeah, outside of that, like Soulsborne, whatever you want to call them, like what's your favorite one currently now? And to answer the question, for me, it's Elden Ring, of course.
I think I would agree. Yeah,
it's just so good. I agree.
It's just, I don't know if you've seen the mods for it.
Not yet. No, I haven't watched like a lot of videos on it recently. After I stopped, because I beat it in like the first month it came out. Well, I say beat it. I got to the final boss. I couldn't beat it, so I just stopped playing, and I called that finishing it.
Yeah, sure.
It was hard, and I was a faith-based build, and that was not.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
I did not want to I did not want to respec. I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I think Elden Ring's probably my favorite. I think it's taken the Soulsborne kind of style into a mainstream format, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%. 100%, because the open world format is just, every big franchise is doing it in a sense. The only big franchise that has not come out with like a modern open world game is like Mario.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like Odyssey was kind of a step in the right direction.
It was close, but not close enough because it had stages.
Yeah, it wasn't an open world. But yeah, I agree. I think taking I was really unsure when they first said Elden Ring was being made. I was unsure they were going to be able to do it properly in a way that still felt like a Dark Soulsborne game. But when they released that first trailer, it just looked so good. I'm so excited.
My only big critique is like, I know it has like 160 bosses, something like that, but like they just recycle so many of them. I think it could have gone without all of the small dungeons. I think they could have gotten away with about half of them.
Yeah, and actually some of the areas as well kind of felt a bit sparse.
I think Caelid felt a bit sparse.
Yeah, and like Mountain Top of the Giants was it was a lot of nothing. And then these like big enemies, which to me felt like because I don't know, you make your way all the way up to the top of the mountain, you get to the kiln, and then they kind of just go, right, now, fuck off somewhere else. And it was like, well, I just made it all the way up here. You're not gonna, make a big deal about it, the whole journey. You're just gonna go, oh look, tree's on fire, now go there. I didn't particularly like that, but
I think the
Yeah.
two most like overwhelming moments in my mind playing Elden Ring, the first one was when you go down the first elevator down to like the below the surface section and you realize how much is down there. Like that blew my mind the first time. I was like, oh my God, like it's not just the regular like surface, like there's a whole section underground as well that you could do things at. The
'Cause you
other
start in Sophia's River is the first one, I think. Yeah.
I remember taking the elevator down there and being like, what's happening? I thought it was like it'd be like a dungeon, but it was like a whole thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like I think, I mean, you should probably do your second point first before I go on a bit of a tangent.
Second one is when you, I can't remember the name of the location, but when you're like in that tree, moving across branches to different sections of like the city and
there's two. There's the tree bit in the main, like the capital, but there's also the Halig tree.
Halig tree, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That was my other favorite area, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, the two kind of standout moments for me were when you first come out of the kind of, I guess you could call it the intro section or the tutorial, maybe, where you kind of come up the elevator and you open the doors and then you've got a whole of Limgrave just in front of you. That was amazing just to see the beauty of it and had the soundtrack behind it, and it made a kind of big deal about it. But then also getting down to Melania in the Halig tree and seeing that boss fight, which is now pretty infamous for being the hardest boss they've ever done. Seeing that was just, it was wild. Of just walking in there and then she kills you within like 2 seconds. And you're like, well, what do I do now?
Time to go in 5,000 times and figure it out.
Or you get Let Me Solar her to come in and kill her for you.
I remember when like that guy got like front page news headlines on like video game articles and shit because of what he was doing. And then I think didn't like FromSoft send him something?
I think so. I think they sent him some sort of plaque or award or something. Because I think at the time he'd helped out, I think it was like 2,000 players or something. He killed her 2,000 times on his own, which was just crazy. Because a lot of people didn't even kill her, didn't even get to it.
Yeah, that's actually one boss I never found. I didn't know about Melania until I finished the game, or until I quote unquote finished the game.
So I was the same.
I've never actually fought her.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I think when I do my playthrough on PS5, I definitely like will go through and try and like do all of the small bosses and like the hidden ones and like the big ones that I missed.
That's what I did. I completed the game once, and then on New Game Plus, I got a guide up that showed me where everything was.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the kind of fresh playthrough, take over the lore that you can without searching at every rock to try and find it. Take all that stuff in, and then the second time I was like, I need to just complete everything I physically can about this game.
Yeah, 100%.
But I mean, I want to gloat a little bit here because I feel like I haven't gloated yet, and I want to.
Let's go.
My claim to fame currently is that I have 100%ed all the Soulsborne games. I got platted all of them, done everything, and I'm very proud of that personally.
That's crazy.
It'd go 100% all the Soulsborne games, SeerSupreme, in that kind of order. And if I had kids, it'd be kids third. That's how it go.
Actually, your kid would actually be named SeerSupreme.
Probably, or Melania or something. I don't know.
That'd be a sick name actually for like a girl.
I do like that name. Yeah, I do like that name. But it took me a long time to do because quite a few of the like Bloodborne ones were a bit sketchy. You have to take a lot of time and rely on people helping you and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's Demon Souls, the 3 Dark Souls, Sekiro, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring.
I was gonna ask about Sekiro if you've done that. Actually, the one Soulsborne game I've never played is Sekiro.
It's very good if you, because I quite like the kind of samurai genre, like things like Ghost of Tsushima. That was top tier. So the Sekiro is kind of a Soulsborne samurai game, but it kind of changed. It did very similar to what Bloodborne did from Dark Souls, where it took the idea of blocking and then rolling and attacking, going into defensive mode. Bloodborne took it into go into attack mode. There's no blocking. You just need to be dashing around and attacking. And Sekiro took it in a slightly different direction where it was about being tick perfect, parrying, and then whittling down their kind of stance or whatever you'd want to call it, their poise. And then when they get down to kind of the lowest poise, then going in for the kill.
Yeah.
So it was I guess it's kind of a middle ground between Dark Souls and Bloodborne, where you need to do some attack but also some defense. So it was a kind of joy to play, really, because it took it away from get the biggest and strongest armor and best shield and just turn into a turtle. It took it to you need to actually click buttons at the right time or you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
I'd recommend it, definitely.
Maybe I'll pick it up then eventually. Might be
But
on my
it's
list
hard.
now.
I think it's probably one of the harder ones to master out of all the Soulsborne games.
I love a good challenge.
This will be a very big challenge, I can tell you that. It took me a long time to even get partially good at it.
That's fair.
And it's one of those games where if you give up halfway through, you pretty much have to start the game again. Because you'll get to a point where you're trying to relearn the game on a boss that's just too hard to kill. So that's a little bit of a warning for you.
Okay, so I have to dedicate my time to this, basically.
I think so. I mean, unless you're a better gamer than me, which you probably are, because I'm terrible at a lot of things, and you can do that kind of thing. But I couldn't. I got to this monkey boss, this gorilla boss, and it stressed me out to the point where I quit the game. I didn't come back to it for 6 months, and then when I did, I was just hitting my head against the wall for the whole time because I couldn't relearn all of the buttons and timings and things, so I just had to start again.
Well, more power to you for being able to start from the beginning and like stick with it.
It was fun, to be fair. When I look back on it, at the time, probably not so much. Kind of like League, where when you look back at all the times you spent on it, it seems fun, but then when you're actually playing it in the moment, it's just toxic and hateful and scary.
So aside from the toxic, hateful, scary League and your love of the Soulsborne series, are there any other games that you spend a lot of time on, or any other hobbies that you have outside of RuneScape that you tend to spend a lot of time on as well?
Yeah, I mean, gaming wise, I've got a Minecraft world that I've had for 5 years, and I've done a lot of crazy stuff in there. And I feel like if I'd made a series about it, I'd be potentially up there with people like Paul GG. I don't know if you've ever seen that guy.
Yeah, I know Paul GG. Yep.
Yeah, I'd probably be up there with him, potentially, because I've done some crazy, crazy things. But I love that world, and I'd love to keep that going. I play a lot of kind of weird niche games that potentially you'll remember when I say what they are, but they're kind of games that people don't normally think about, like Mystery Case Files. Don't know if you remember that one.
Nope.
That's point and click, search for things in a picture.
I played like Nancy Drew, which is pretty similar to that. It sounds like.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. I play a lot of things like The Last of Us, Ratchet and Clank. I do like a lot of old games like Ratchet and Clank and Croc, Legend of the Gobos.
Love a good Jack and Daxter.
Yes, very similar in kind of style with Ratchet and Clank and Croc and all this stuff. I have these games that come around. I like Fallout. I like the kind of post-apocalyptic kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my favorite games of all time are zombie games. because I love zombies.
Have you played Project Zomboid?
No, I haven't. That's one that's on my list along with is it 7 Days to Die? Is that the zombie one? No, DayZ.
Yeah, DayZ looks cool.
There's a zombie survival one. I think it's DayZ. They're the ones I haven't played yet. But things like Left 4 Dead was amazing. Resident Evil. Yeah, there's so many cool zombie games out there. But outside of video games, mountain biking. I love mountain biking. The UK is not the best for it, but it's still something I can have a lot of fun with.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Scotland. Scotland's got a lot of really good stuff up there. But I want to go to places like Canada. It's like Whistler Bike Park and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've watched some videos on the Whistler Bike Park. I watch like that kind of videos. Like I used to skateboard when I was younger, so I watch a lot of those like big sports like snowboarding, skiing, mountain biking, BMXing, skateboard, like all that stuff. I like to watch videos on it. After I broke my wrist riding my one wheel. Do you know what that is?
Oh dear. Are you talking about what's it called? I don't know what it's called.
Not an electric unicycle. It's literally just called the one wheel.
Oh no, I don't know what that is then.
It's like a skateboard with like a wheel in the middle, and you like teeter back and forth on it like a seesaw.
Yeah.
But I broke my wrist on that during COVID because I was riding it every day, and then I slowly stopped riding it. Then I lost confidence in riding it, so I sold it. And ever since then, I just have had like a lot of like fear again of like, because it's a lot of mental strain when you break a bone. Because I broke my dominant hand wrist, so I was left with my dominant hand for 3 months. So
it must be pretty stressful because I don't think you probably don't appreciate what you do with your hands until you cannot use one of them, especially your dominant one. That must have been like a crazy experience of how am I going to do this now with my hand that I'm not very good with.
Exactly. My left hand, I'm way more ambidextrous than I used to be, and that was not by choice.
I mean, I guess that's a nice positive spin though. Now that you can use your hand better than you could before. That sounded wrong, didn't it?
we won't think about it that way.
If I hadn't said anything, no one probably would have. But I had to put that thought in everyone's minds.
Oh no. But yeah, so it's the silver linings to even like the worst things that have happened in your life, things like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, with mountain biking, I've had a lot of close calls where I could well have died if I'd landed weird or, I'd hit certain things on the way down. But it's one of those sports where the rush you get from doing it is kind of the thing that brings you back.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, there's different levels to it. So you can do the really easy kind of blue trails and green trails, or you can do the really hard double black trails, which are just crazy sometimes. So it means you don't have to really put your life at risk if you don't want to.
Yeah, you can just cruise and have fun.
Yeah, but some people do like that, where you're going down a 45-degree hill at like 60 miles an hour on a bike that's not powered by anything other than your legs.
Terrifying.
And I go to the gym as much as I can. I wouldn't say that I'm like super into it, but doing it 4 times a week kind of makes it a part of my life.
I need to get in that routine.
It's hard to get into, and if you drop out of it even slightly, it's very hard to get back. That's what I found anyway. Just that you go 4 days a week every week, because I've lost about a stone because I didn't go to the gym for it was about 6 months because of various.
And for my American listeners, how much is a stone?
I'll have to figure that out.
Isn't it like 12 kilograms?
I think so. It's 6 kilograms, 1 stone.
So roughly 12, probably like 13 pounds.
Yeah. And I lost that just muscle mass because I stopped going to the gym and then for various reasons I didn't go back, and I kept trying to go back and things were getting in the way. And I was eating the same, but because I wasn't going to the gym, my body just started to take away that muscle. And it just got harder and harder to go back then. And it's only recently that I've started to get back into it. But it's it's a difficult thing to do because no one wants to exercise, do they? Not really.
Yeah.
Only the strange people.
There are those nuts who love it, and I think they love it because like it's I feel like it's the same way as like having any kind of addiction. It's like they get the same rush that we do from like getting a 99, as like weird as that is to say.
So, yeah. I never really looked at it that way, but yeah.
Same like endorphin high.
Killing that Dark Souls boss, they probably get the same rush. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, it's music. That's my kind of, if I had to put into a list, it's gaming, music, and then sports underneath that.
Awesome. So I guess a few final, dive back into the RuneScape stuff before we head off. I know it's getting late for you, so don't want to take up too much more of your time.
Yep.
So I think I have 3 questions left for you. First one is, how do you avoid I don't want the word burning out anymore. I think it's more of like, how do you keep yourself like in pace doing what you are doing every single day, especially like with the Supreme Seer, how much time you spend in one place, and you haven't left that one place in 46 days of in-game time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of twofold, really. Having multiple games going on at the same time helps, because I've got the Chunk account on one screen and my Group Iron on the other, and I can cut trees on the Chunk account, and then I can go do raids on the group, and it means that I don't have to have any downtime on either of them. But then if I want to change that up, I can do, killing elementals on the Chunk account and cutting trees or mining or fishing or whatever on the group, because both of them need to progress in skilling as well as fighting stuff, PVMing. So doing it that way helps a lot. But also other games as well, like playing League. I can AFK trees while I play League. But also I think the second part is actually making videos, because I'm not great at editing and I'm not good at storytelling that much. I have some aspects of storytelling, I guess, but not really. But actually putting those videos together and making jokes and having some fun with it and putting the music in there and picking the right songs and all that kind of thing, and then just seeing how people react, because my channel, and again I think this comes back to JoshIsntGaming, he shared my video literally 2 days after I posted it, the first one, and that made my video kind of blow up in a way. Not like, how you would imagine blowing up, but getting a lot more views than you would have thought that would have got straight away.
Yeah, I would say like you're thinking like, 500 maybe, and then it gets like 2,000.
Yeah, exactly.
I consider that I consider any video of mine that's over 1,000 views, I consider that blowing up.
Yeah, because I was expecting double digits on that first video, but Josh was at the time thinking about, he liked the idea of Seers Village, and he was like, I wonder if anyone's doing a Chunk account there, and I literally just posted my video, and he found it and shared it. Yeah, it was crazy that it happened that way, but it meant that I got to see the kind of thing you would expect taking 6 months to a year to happen. I saw it happen in the first week, and that kind of pride that I felt, that I'd actually created something that someone had seen and gone, wow, I like that. That kind of kept me going throughout all of the videos I've made so far, and it will probably continue for the future, is that somebody will comment and go, this is great, I love this, I can't wait for the next one. Or, the people that do the, wake up babe, SeerSupreme just dropped, that kind of thing. I love it.
I comment that on all of, do you know who Gwem is? She does the moral percent max cape speed run.
I've heard the name. I don't think I've seen the videos though.
I had her in the cast as well, so on all 4 videos I do this. I do that exact comment.
And it's great. It genuinely fills me with pride, and it makes me happy to see that someone has enjoyed the thing that I've made. Because we spend a lot of time on our videos, we put effort into it, and seeing someone actually kind of make that real is a really nice feeling.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the next thing that keeps me making these videos and keeps me grinding at bloody maple trees to get the beaver. Just thinking I'm doing this because someone's going to see it and they're going to go, this looks great. It's been half an hour of my life that I haven't wasted because I enjoyed it. And I like that.
And it's the same idea behind like these casts. Like someone will listen to this, most people will click off after 10, 15 minutes, or it'll be something that they put on before they go to bed. But maybe somebody has a restless night and they hear all the way till the end of this moment. And they're like, that was 2 hours. I really enjoyed that conversation. Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. Well, I listen to podcasts in the car when I drive to work or whatever. And because my drive is about an hour and 20 minutes usually, I can get most of the way through a podcast just on the way to work. And if I haven't finished it on the way, I'll definitely finish it on the way back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that usually would be just a waste of time, just driving from one place to another. It made it meaningful because I got to listen to somebody talk about something they love, or, talk about just random crap for 2 hours. And I get something out of it as well as those people probably did as well, making it. So
100%. So into my second to last question here, we've got of course, the thing that everybody, I think many of us in our lives playing this game or doing anything in life, being really into something, have struggled with, and that is balancing your real life obligations, careers, school, love life, family, friends, with also wanting to put time into your hobbies. And in this case, of course, that being, playing RuneScape for us. So what do you do to balance your time out and not feel like I've wasted my day playing RuneScape all day? Or, maybe there's a day that you're like, I love playing this game. I'm so excited I get to do it for 10 hours today.
I have a very understanding girlfriend and family, which has been, great. And I'm very lucky to have those people around me that are like, you love this thing, you're passionate about this thing. We don't want to get in the way of that. And there has to be a balance, obviously. I can't spend all of my time playing RuneScape and ignoring my girlfriend, but she's also slowly becoming more of a gamer than when we first met. And I think it maybe is just I've kind of rubbed off on her a bit that I'm so passionate about this thing that she's just been more and more interested in it. And we've kind of found the games that she enjoys, which means that even when I'm not sat at my computer playing RuneScape, recording stuff and whatever, I can be sat in bed or on the sofa playing RuneScape on my laptop, and she doesn't get mad at me because she's also got her Switch out or whatever, and she's also playing video games at the same time while we're watching South Park or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been great, which has allowed that kind of balance to be probably more heavily weighted towards playing games than not, but in a way that doesn't kind of upset everyone around me. But also with like work, I've got quite a good job, which I don't dislike. But if the opportunity arose that I could do this full time, I would probably take it. But the job I have is well paid. It's allowed me to grow into something that's helped me in other aspects of my life, and it actually is something that I think is very beneficial to the world and people in general. So it's been quite good to not have a job where I completely hate it and all I'm looking forward to is finishing and then playing RuneScape. I can actually shut off for 8 hours and do a job that I enjoy to a point, And then when I finish that job, I'm like, oh yeah, and now I can go home and play RuneScape.
Yeah,
So that kind of made it a little bit easier to transition with. But yeah, if I could do this full time, I'd 100%. I'd be playing RuneScape for 16 hours a day and streaming, creating YouTube videos. And it would mean that they would be better because I'd be able to put more time into it. But, it's going to take time for that to happen, if it's going to happen at all.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm very unique in the sense that, like, if I did have the opportunity to do this full time, I absolutely would not.
Oh, really?
Is
that because you've got a job that you love to bits, or?
I do. And that's not even the reason. It's just that, like, for me, it's the same reason that, like, I went to school for music, and I realized shortly after I was doing that, I hated it. I hated being like I hated the fact that music was becoming a job when it was something I just loved. So I know that it would make me feel the same way about RuneScape. And I guess I don't know for a fact, but at the same time, like, during, like, I was laid off for like 6 months during the COVID time, and like I was just playing games like RuneScape all day, every day, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just, it's not something I want to do. It's something I enjoy, like, on my days off. Like, today, I woke up at like 10 o'clock, and I have been playing since I woke up at 10 o'clock, basically. But tomorrow, me and my partner both have the day off. It's a holiday here, so I don't have to go to work, so we're going to spend the day together doing stuff. But they work today, so obviously when they work, this is my time when I just, like, veg out and only play RuneScape.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like, I only like to play like 3 or 4 hours a day usually. Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess
if my friends are like, you want to go play Counter-Strike, I log off instantly. Usually.
That makes sense. I mean, I'm not necessarily unique in my kind of views with video games, but I feel like, when people always talk about when you retire, they're like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your time?
Yeah.
I know exactly what I'm going to do with my time. I'm going to be playing video games all day, every day.
Oh, yeah.
And I know for a fact that I will not get bored of it.
I think I'll have more time to explore the game, like more games, because right now I want to play Baldur's Gate 3, but at the same time, like, I want to get more progress done in RuneScape. I'm having fun on my RS3 account, so it's like, oh, I played Baldur's Gate for like 50 hours and like the last month, but like I haven't logged into it in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I would really enjoy having Hannibal being the kind of umbrella over all of these other games that I could play and record and create content for. I would love that. I'd love it to be, you've got the old school RuneScape Hannibal channel, and you've got the Minecraft Hannibal channel, and you've got the Soulsborne Hannibal channel, and I don't have a job that's 8 hours a day that then I have to do all of it in the evenings. I'll have a full-time video game job, which will be just YouTube in this instance, where I just play as many games as I want and put all the videos up. Because the way I think about it is like kind of having people like PewDiePie and Markiplier and all these people. They've got enough money that they can pay people to edit their videos for them, so they can spend their time just playing the game. I think if I could get to that point, that would be so perfect that if you'd asked me at any point in my life, I'd be like, nah, that's stupid. There's no way I'd ever get to anything like that. But if I could, that would be so perfect for me. I think I could play video games 16 hours a day, every day for the rest of my life and enjoy it. And get to my deathbed and someone ask me, did you enjoy that? Or did you think you wasted your life? And I'd go, shut the fuck up. You know that I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the big thing, is like knowing that it's your life. It's all about what you enjoy. It shouldn't matter like from other people's perspective. I know, like, from others' perspectives, depending on who you are, like, what are you doing playing video games with your time? Like, that's, you're wasting your time. Like, exactly what you said. Like, shut the hell up.
Yeah. Those people should just keep themselves to themselves. We don't judge them on what they like to do, so they shouldn't be judging us. I think if you want to play video games all day, every day, and you can sustain all of the stuff you should be sustaining, like family and friends and health, then why not? If you can do it, do it.
100%. So, great answers, great conversation. Love the time. So I got one final question for you, and then I'll let you get off to bed because I know it's like nearly 2 a.m. for you.
Yeah, it's almost 2 a.m. Yeah.
Hopefully you don't have to go to work. Do you have to go to work tomorrow?
I do, and it's a day where I'm in the office, so I've got to get up at 6:30. But it's fun.
I'm so sorry.
No, I've enjoyed myself. I wanted to come here. I wanted to talk to you, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. So I will be getting up at 6:30 with a smile on my face.
Perfect. So the last question I have is basically like, where do you see yourself playing the game in the next 5 years? Like, do you see yourself ever getting tired of playing RuneScape in the near future? Maybe switching back to RS3 for a bit, try out Necromancy? Like, what do you think in your own mind? What do you think is going to happen?
I think it depends. If I max on old school, there may be a point where I'm like, what's the point now? Until something else catches my interest, like the Chunk account. But there is a very big likelihood that by the time 5 years rolls around, I'm still doing the Chunk account.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not out the first chunk yet, and I've probably got another 6 to 7 months before I get out. And it's if it is 6 to 7 months, it would have been probably a whole year in that chunk. Which means that if the next chunks are anything similar, it could be 5 years, and I'm still going. I've got like 10 chunks, and there's still so much more to do. So I feel like I'm probably going to be playing old school RuneScape for a long time. And I probably won't go back to RS3 unless something happens over there that really piques my interest.
Mm-hmm.
But also there's like, Settle's doing this nightmare thing now, which sounds really fun, really cool. But in 5 years, who knows what else people are going to come up with?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what's going to happen that far along, At the end of the day, it's just like, do I think I'm still going to be having fun playing the game? And I'm glad you say yes, because my answer is always going to be yes. Until the day I'm like, I don't want to log. Even though there are like weeks where I'm like, I'm going to play a different game. Like for this week, I always log back in after like 3 or 4 days because I'm like, ooh, I gotta get this done.
Number go up.
Number go up, brain happy.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think RuneScape's definitely going to be one of the games that I play for the longest. Because at the minute it's not. It's slightly behind 2 other games. But I feel like in the next 5-10 years, it will definitely become that game that I've played for the longest amount of time.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. And I've had a wonderful conversation with you today, Hannibal. Is there anything you want to say or ask before we sign off?
The only thing I really do want to say, and I've sprinkled some names in throughout this podcast about people in the Chunk community that I feel need some recognition. And really, I just want to shout some names out, if that's okay.
100%. And after this cast as well, if or tomorrow, whenever you're back from work, if you want to link everybody you're about to shout out right now, I will put all of them in the description if I remember. If I don't, please let me know.
Absolutely. I mean, I can write a quick list afterwards as well, just so you've got it. But the kind of the first one is BuzzRS. He is the guy that created the Supreme rule set, and obviously I need to shout him out because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if he hadn't have done that. I don't need to shout people out like Limpwort and Verf because people would probably already know that, or if they clicked on this video, they probably have some interest in Chunk accounts. But there's also people like Josh. He has been the sole person that has helped me get to where I am currently. And I would not be surprised if I get even further just with him helping me out. Frey, he's been very kind to me so far. I don't know if you've seen CanifisChunk.
I have.
Yeah.
His videos are like super long, so I've not caught up on those recently.
They are very long, and he's got a lot of Revenant content at the minute. But I like Frey. He's been very kind to me, and he's from the UK as well. So we've kind of got a lot of stuff in common between us. There's also people like Maka, who's doing the insane Chunkman account. He's very funny. He brightens up the Chunk clan chat pretty much every time he comes on, which has been great. There's VoltyChunk. He is a guy that has pretty much been in Seers Village with me for the last 5 months. He started somewhere else, but he's made his way here. My kind of vibe in my video, it was partially based on a guy called Cozy Boy. His in-game name is Dr. Pepper. That guy has got this kind of... He went for the vibe of hip-hop, rap, kind of lo-fi kind of thing. And when I watched his videos, I like, this is great. And he started in Catherby, which wasn't far away from me. There's Ham of Mulch. He started on Mulch Island.
Oh my god, I've seen that one.
That was wild.
Fuck.
I love that guy. He was great. He was funny, and he did a grind that I couldn't even imagine starting, to be honest. There's also Inoox, Ardychunky. He's doing... he's got two things going on at the moment. He's got his Chunk Locked account, which started in Ardougne, but it's been pretty much everywhere at this point. But he's also doing a voice acted series where he voice acts all of the quests in RuneScape. I thoroughly enjoyed that because he's doing the quest and he's voice acting it, and it's almost like a little series, like a TV series. But he's also got like an overarching narrative that's behind it that's not based on RuneScape. So it kind of keeps it a bit interesting for people that maybe don't understand RuneScape that well. And then some other ones are, obviously I've mentioned Unguided. That guy's great. Again, he's based in the UK. He's got a great voice. He does the quests that with no help from any guides or anything like that. So that guy is brilliant. Not so much a chunk account, but it's one of those accounts that I think is super unique and I think very fun. There's Extreme Gnome. I don't know if you've heard of Extreme Gnome before.
I have, yep.
Again, great series, very funny, and he started in Gnome Stronghold.
I think he'd be currently... Sorry, didn't interrupt you.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say he's currently the holder of most likely the most laps on the Gnome Agility course, which is in 5 figures at the minute.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, I think you'd be surprised at how many of these names that you've said that I have watched at least one episode of their series.
Yeah, and I think that's the great thing about it, is that you don't really have to be like super famous people, but you've probably seen their content around somewhere, and if you just give it a chance of watching the whole thing through and then following up with it, you'll find that those series are actually super good series. But there's also Relica. I forgot his YouTube name now. I think it's Lunatar.
Yep, I think I've heard of him.
Amazing voice. That guy's voice is so... it's so sensual in the way that it comes across. It's really deep. I think he's Scandinavian. I think he's from Finland, maybe. I might have got that wrong. But his series is really good. Started in Relica. And his edits are really cool as well. And there's probably a ton more that I've already forgotten about. But they're the kind of main ones I wanted to just shout out, because I think one great thing about this community is that there's so many people doing different things within it that's still chunk related or chunk adjacent, as is used a term that's used quite frequently in the clan chat.
Mm-hmm.
SeerSupreme. I should definitely shout out SeerSupreme. you know the kind of chunk picker,
the map. Yeah.
SeerSupreme created that. He maintains it, he monitors it, he updates it, and I think he pretty much does it on his own with the help of a few people from the community. And he's got a Patreon, which if people are interested in it, should definitely go and give it a look, because I think the money that's given to him on that helps him to spend more time picker, uses it in the chunk community. You see people like Verf and Limpwort and all these people, they use it all the time. So definitely that guy, check it. And I think he has a series as well. He's the guy that's got the most chunks unlocked, which is obviously probably not that surprising. But yeah, I think that's everyone I can think of right now. But those people are amazing. All their channels are definitely ones to go and have a look at, just to see if you like it. Because you know how it is with things like this. Some people you click with, some people you don't.
100%.
But there's so many people out there that you just give them a try. Oh, and Tom. You've already had Tom on here.
I have.
CoxChunk. His, again, is wild, starting at Chambers of Xeric. the grinds that he's had to do there is crazy. But yeah. Thanks very much for having me. Thanks very much for chatting with me. I've had a lot of fun. And it's kept me up till 2 a.m, but it's definitely worth it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you're not regretting every moment of this of your decision tonight.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So, of course, if you have not already, subscribe to Hannibal, his channel. All of his links will be in the description. If you got this far, please do not hesitate to leave a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you are a fellow chunker and you did not hear your name called out, because there are so many of you, obviously we couldn't get through everybody, please do not hesitate to like self-promote yourself in the comments as well. You know, I'll pin a comment, that kind of stuff. You know, if you've gotten this far, once again, thank you for listening. Thank you again, Hannibal. And hopefully you all have a great evening, great morning, afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. And, you know, stay gaming.
Thanks, guys.